I think artists have to be particularly careful handling women, because the tradition has been that when women are used in paintings, they're very often passive, very often nude, and there can be an element of just exposure about the way women have been used in art. So something like The Birth of Venus, where on the one hand it's a classical image, all kinds of references going on there. At the same time, it's a very voyeuristic painting, in that you have a totally nude woman just standing in front of you. And so where there's a number of times where it's crossed my mind to either have the female nude or in some way making reference to some things, I find myself very deliberately trying to move away from that because of that tendency to use women in a way we don't use men in paintings. And that the men are active and interesting and arty, whereas the women are allowed to be passive and almost voyeuristic.
Really always strong. And one piece that we do is Othello with Desdemona, who is the faithful wife. Even when her husband says, "I'm going to kill you, go back to your bedchamber and wait for me." I mean, he doesn't say that, but the implication's there. She's doing what she's supposed to do. Yeah. Yet, in a lot of other ways, subtle ways, she's very strong. Yeah. And that comes across in this painting as well.
And I think that's it. I think that, and it's the same in art, that there are occasions where women, and Rembrandt and so on, can use women in very interesting, strong ways. I was watching Jane Eyre last night, and there's another case where the woman is on the one hand kind of quiet, she seems passive, and yet there's a strength going through that actually directs the whole storyline. So I think, there is subtleties to it. But also, I think, I'm always very wary in the way I use women, because I think there has been much too much of a temptation to treat women very differently, with a very different reason in paintings, than the way we treat men.
Looking at the 1984 Macintosh commercial, which you were familiar with the woman coming in. She even has, she's the one that comes in and destroys the screen, always causing problems. Right. And really shaking things up, which at the end we could say, hey, that's what we need. We need to be shaken out of this box we put ourselves in.
With one will, one resolve, one cause. Shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
In some ways, this female is doing this. I mean, by making this statement, is just this is driving me crazy. This is horrible.
And also, I think in trying to get some contrast between beauty and ugliness. And I think that's true with a lot of art. That it's like we were talking about the need to have warm and cool colours in, the need to have verticals and horizontals in. I think that if you just go pretty in a kind of Thomas Kinkade way, there comes a point where you feel there's too much sugar in my mouth. I need something to balance that out. And it's the same in the painting. I think where on the face I could allow myself to think, all right, I'm just going to let it be as pretty as I want, because I know that straight below the face there's this almost repulsive blank of red across the middle of the painting. And then also with the lettering, I can let myself do kind of little girly lettering, which I very deliberately did. It's rather kind of the same kind of lettering you get on the travelling pants book and so on, where it's that kind of teenage girl novel writing. But I could use that quite happily, because I know that the wording is actually rather shockingly abrupt.
Yeah. So in this, you purposely made it curly to get that cute, that contrast going.
To go, and also having it kind of going around the top and underneath the bottom. It feels like a very neat picture in that sense. Okay. Which had that kind of feeling of prettiness.
And so that adds to that contrast there, and meaning through contrast.
Yeah.